This video is dedicated to James Humphreys. James, thank you. Loot the key to everything versus Loot the key to everything. Kellen and Memnarch. Yeah, it's not a great opening hand, but we've got our colours and we've got plenty of mana there, so we'll just try and get stuff off the top of our deck. Just some tap lands from our opponent. I think we'll follow suit and get down a Tricycle land of our own. Drew into a Lightning Greaves, by the way. Mind Stone from the mono blue player. And then some more 2-mana ramp, Fertile Ground for Kellen. And loot over there, going for Everflowing Chalice, we'll tap for 1 mana. Okay, Maelstrom Wanderer. I think we're just slowly getting into our loot at this point. We'll play Otawara, just in case the Boseiju is of any relevance. And let's get down an artifact for the Lightning Greaves. So if we play our commander next turn and try to protect it with Lightning Greaves, then we'll only exile the 1 card, but could get us into something relevant. And if not, it's cleared a card off the top we never cared about anyway. Not worthy it's a Mishra's Factory here, by the way, just in case that's of any relevance. And we see the first creature, a Nurok Transmuter. So for blue, target creature becomes an artifact in addition to the other types, or until end of turn, target artifact creature becomes blue. And there we see the 3-mana commander in Kellen. Maybe we're going to see 3 3-mana commanders in a row here. So yep, there is loot, the key to everything. We'll exile 1 card off the top during the next turn, as will we. Alright, and draw into a tap land, which we might be able to get down next turn. But as long as we're making consistent lands, I don't mind. Should be safe to get down the loot here as well. Throw on a pair of Lightning Greaves and pass. Well, there's a Karn Legacy Reforged, a really good one, but don't tend to see it anymore. Even though it's only been out for, what, a year or so? Don't tend to see too much of it. It's really good with treasure and all that type of thing. The attacker comes in towards us. Can't see that we're going to be using Fierce Guardianship for anything here. But they are doing something during the blocking phase, so maybe he wants to draw some cards off the attack. There's a Hunter's Insight. We'll allow it. I'm tempted to counter that because they're obviously desperate to get into something relevant, because it's not the best Hunter's Insight anyone's ever seen. And not able to cast another spell, so discarding a card to hand size at the end of turn. Just a basic forest. So we're going to see the first trigger from a loot this game, and exiling a land with that. So obviously playing it as the land for the turn, 7 cards in hand. And there we see Fibbleflip lost on the range. I don't think I bothered including that in this deck. Alright, so we'll see what we get from the loot. That might dictate what we do this turn. Alright, that is a Lost and the Damned. I think I would actually quite like to get that out here. And there's a mountain as well, so we are going to keep up on the land drops. So how do we want to do this? Maybe get down a Haywire Might. So yeah, we can go Ancient Tomb, and we'll still be able to hold up green for the Might as well, which is good. So this is from the 40k set. We get 3/3 spawns when we do stuff from exile. With the floating mana, get down the Haywire Might. So now we've got Artifact, Creature and Enchantment for the loot. And we've got an untapped land available to us if we want it. So Karn Legacy is going to be able to add some additional mana here with 5 cards in the Memnarch's hand. Might not want to get his commander into play now that the Haywire Might is available. Alright, a Liquimetal Coating can turn something into an artifact. So this worth blowing up while the Memnarch is in play, as is this, so that they can't gain control of things. A Darksteel Juggernaut now. An Indestructible, a big Indestructible that attacks each turn if able. And the 5/5 goes at Kellen. Oko, Thief of Crowns. Yeah, it's going to distract this stuff. They're going to have to be swinging in at Oko, really. So we allow that into play, and it's going to turn the Karn into an Elk. And immediately jumps up to 5 loyalty doing that. Oko is a crazy good planeswalker. And the 3/3 goes into the left at Memnarch. So not holding back to protect the Oko. Loot's going to exile 2 things this time, thanks to a creature and an artifact being under his control. And there we see E-Witness. And Luca Bound to Ruin. Don't have anything in the bin to fetch back with the E-Witness. Alright, taking advantage of the card in exile, Luca Bound to Ruin. They can't target our commander with that at least, so yeah, we'll just let that in. Do we want to focus on Luca or Oko is the question. Decided to make a 3/3 beast with Toxic 1. So hopefully we see some attacks on the Oko here, but he's maybe worried about Gonjos and cards like that. So doesn't send anything into Oko. Alright, so we do get to make some use of our commander here, which is often a difficulty. There we see a Bone Horde Dracosaur, so it's good that we got into that basic mounting previously. There's a basic, so I don't feel too bad about not going for the island here. Crater Hoof, it's sad to lose out on, but yeah, we have to go for... We lose out on a spawn, not being able to play the island from exile as well. Haven't been able to go for too many duels yet. This thing could have haste and take out Oko, but do I want to risk losing out on the loot? I don't think I do, actually. But yeah, we'll still take advantage of one of the cards in exile. And we'll still hold up the green for the Haywire Might. So trigger the Lost and the Damned for the first time. Don't think I've ever triggered that one on Magic Online, actually. And like I said before, I'm not going to risk the loot going down. They might be able to get a flash blocker into play or something like that, and we want to be encouraging this player to go in at Oko anyway, so we will just swing in the Haywire Might at Oko. And there we go, we've got something in response. It is a Teferi's Protection. What are they going to point the Oko at? They could point it over at the loot here. Yeah, it's an artifact or creature, so Teferi's Protection... You know what, I want the Oko to go down because I don't want to lose the Lightning Greaves. Let's just keep them from doing that. So now all our opponent has to do is send... Oh, really? Well, all he has to do is send the Khan and the 2-2 in towards Oko and take that down, but... Yep, Kellen is going to receive a nice ban because of that. So Fierce Guardianship ejecting a player out of the game, apparently. I've just played straight into Memnarch's hand here, though. Luckily, there isn't a surplus amount of mana. But we may well have to crack the Haywire Might onto Memnarch. Luckily there isn't a surplus of mana from the Khan anymore. And this has to swing in every turn, so it sends the 4-4 in at the Planeswalker, might as well. And just throwing the Phyrexian Beast in the way. So I think we are going to have to blow up the Memnarch at the end of the loot player's turn. It depends on what he does really, but can't think of him doing anything which we'd want to keep hold of the Haywire Might. Maybe he plays an even scarier artifact or enchantment. A Crawl Space, well, that's a pretty good one. Sage of the Beyond. And a land was exiled. There is Saheeli, Sublime Artificer, so he's going to litter the board with some servos. Looks like he's gone for Loot Super Friends, seemingly. An Oko Thief of Crowns here as well. Awesome. Making a servo with the Saheeli. See, the problem is we can't rely on the blue player to help us remove this stuff either, because his means of removal will be taking it for himself with Memnarch, so yeah, I'm not sure what the aim is here. Making a beast token, Oko should probably go for a plus on either the Dracosaur or the Memnarch, but when we've got this in play, he'll expect us to take out Memnarch, I imagine. Alright, does plus on the Memnarch though, that's good, so we get to keep our Dracosaur, so hopefully we'll be able to get rid of this thing with our dragon. Didn't manage to get the Crawl Space in either, apparently. Cracking the Tarn. Okay, so we will leave the Haywire Might in play here, I think. Better to leave an artifact in play for as long as possible, and won't crack that until we absolutely need to. So I don't think it matters what order on the stack this goes in. Loot will go first and resolve last. We don't know what's on top of the library, so see what we get with the Dracosaur. We either get a dinosaur token or we get a treasure token here. Exiled off the top, a Mana Crypt, and an Invasion of Kaladesh, and got a treasure token, and then loot will resolve and give us some more impulse draw. So let's see here. We've got Roaming Throne, Nyx Bloom Ancient would be good to get out if we can, and Faldorn for more tokens. Unfortunately missed out on the Crater Hoof now, and then we've even got a draw to make as well. So there is Azusa. Only got 2 lands to make into Azusa, so probably not worth doing. Play the Forest, and then we can go Mana Crypt is 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, leaving us with 3 lands at triple mana. I think that's probably going to be the way to do it to get out the Nyx Bloom Ancient here. So play Mana Crypt for free. We'll trigger the enchantment, which has been well worth having in play here. Make a green with a treasure, because I don't think Nyx Bloom cares about treasures. Oh, it's tapping a permanent for mana, so it would care about that, but anyway. We'll just tap these lands. Cast a Nyx Bloom Ancient for another spawn token. So then we've got 9 mana available to us. which means we can play everything from exile here if we wanted to, so yeah, probably do that after combat, I think. Let's put Lightning Greaves onto a spawn token so that we can make blocks a bit trickier for our opponent. And we'll go through to attacks. The Dracosaur can get rid of Oko, hopefully. No flyers here, is there? Just double check. Don't think there is. No, there isn't. Got a decent number of chump blockers is the problem. I'll go after Luca and ignore the Saheeli. Speaking of chump blockers, could have gone for Haywire Might to get rid of this, and that would have been one fewer chumps, but I think I'd rather keep hold of that for getting rid of something a bit flashier. So trading with a Phyrexian Toxic and a Servo is going to chump. We do get rid of Oko by the looks of it, and maybe some of these walkers can be taken out by the blue player. So it might be that Memnarch can be flickered. It's going to be a risk not holding up green mana for the Haywire Might, but yeah, do we need to get down the battle? We need to tap for green mana for the Feldhorn anyway, so yeah, let's just do it here. And if we end up wishing that we'd held on to the Haywire Might mana, then so be it. So I'll go for this first, because this cares about exile as well. Lost and the Damned, triggering yet again. And then it's a bunch of blue mana so that we can go for the battle. And that triggers Feldhorn for the first time to make a wolf token, get another spawn as well. So this is where it would have been handy to have Maelstrom Wanderer in play to give all these things haste. We could have done all this during the first main and then had a better attack, but if we manage to keep Nyxbloom Ancient, we might be able to do it during the next turn. So the battle comes into play. We'll put it into play under the control of the Super Friends player, and that gets us another artifact creature, so if we do get rid of Haywire Might and we lose the Lightning Greaves, we've still got this at least. Although we've got the Mana Crypt now as well. And we've got a Roaming Throne available to us. So plenty of artifacts here. And plenty of tokens to go with it all. And the Roaming Throne can just name Beast because our commander is a Beast Noble. Not sure how many beasts we've got in the deck. Is Craterhoof? Yeah, that's a beast, so that would have triggered twice under a Roaming Throne. Anyway, Lightning Greaves back onto the loot. Argument to be made for us wanting to protect the Nyxbloom Ancient, but while we've only got 4 cards in hand, we'll try and keep the card draw up from exile. So we'll see if Memnarch can come back online here. Mind Stone being correct, looking for a card, looking for an answer to get the commander back online. Could have a Pongify or something like that maybe. Or maybe he just wants a board wipe at this point. Lightning Greaves. Don't like seeing that with Memnarch in play. And see if any attacks are made here. Probably should go in at some Planeswalkers, although he has to consider a swing back from us as well, so be interesting to see what he does here. Goes after the player directly. Totally ignoring the walkers for whatever reason. I mean, he has to swing in with the Juggernaut. Loot able to survive again. Has creature, artifact and Planeswalker, so exiles 3 cards off the top. What the hell is that? A Contagion Engine? God, I wish Magic cards still look like Magic cards. There's the Lost and the Damned, alright, so going for similar tactics over there. A Reality Shift as well, could have gone onto our loot. Might go onto our Nyxbloom. Alright, deciding on Contagion Engine instead. I think personally I would have focused on getting this down. You can see how good it is on my side of the field. And then into Reality Shift, but there's the Contagion Engine. We could still see the Reality Shift. So Contagion Engine puts a minus counter on each creature we control, which means goodbye to the Haywire Might. Got rid of a token there as well. We gain 2 life when the Haywire Might dies. So it's probably worth keeping the battle in play just because it's another card type, but there is an argument to be made for going for a decently sized flyer against Planeswalkers. Going to make the, I'm guessing, the Everflowing Chalice a copy of the Contagion Engine. That won't do anything as far as I can tell unless they can make some more mana. But even then they won't have enough to go for Proliferate twice. Yeah, this isn't an enter the battlefield effect or anything, so they just took loyalty away from Saheeli for no good reason. Speaking of which, taking loyalty off Luca to go for another beast. And there's that Reality Shift, and it does go on to the triple mana generator as you would expect. Let's see what we manifested here. That is a Blasphemous Act, so we can't do that unfortunately. But I don't think we're in a position where we really want to, so they've kind of done us a favour. So triggers, it can be Mana Crypt, we get 2 loot triggers. So just arbitrarily put those on the stack and see what we get with the Bone Horde. It's a shame we didn't get to keep that triple mana because we're going to exile a lot of stuff here. Alright, that is a Dockside Extortionist and a Breeding Pool, so we get our first Dinosaur token and a treasure. Then loot, we see a Cyclonic Rift, which is going to be too tempting, isn't it? Beast Within as well, a Swiftfoot Boots, some lands. Chimil is really good, Minsk is really good. So yeah, missing that triple mana. Can we get rid of any players here with a Cyclonic Rift and so many creatures in play? Solemn Simulacrum. It's probably worth getting down a Zeusa here, because we've got, 4 lands that we've got in exile, so it's going to be well worth doing at this point. Play the Azusa, and then we can go Shock in a Breeding Pool, should be fine. Triggers both of our Impulse Draw Matter cards, and do the same with a Bloodstained Mire and a Forest. So then, do we go for the Chimil to keep our stuff being countered? And then if they counter this, we can still go for Dockside anyway. Dockside will give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 treasure. So then we can still go for Cyclonic Rift. I think that's fine. We'll go for the Chimil then. And continue to make tokens. Definitely want to be doing this against 3 open blue mana. We're up against 2 blue players anyway. So now, with that landing, we can go for a Dockside Extortionist. Alright, this player deciding to scoop may well have screwed over his opponent unless he decides to scoop here as well. Volcanic Island. And that means Dockside isn't going to get as much mana now. Dockside gets us 1, 2, 3, 4 mana. But do we need it at this point? Yeah, they just scoop. Awesome. So, yeah, I mean, that was looking pretty commanding anyway. As soon as Memnarch was taken out of the game by an Oko, we saw 2 Okos this game, amazingly. Then Memnarch isn't going to do much of anything unless he can blow up his own commander. He was about to get it bounced back to his hand, but then he's got to spend turns replaying Memnarch and not getting it blown up, etc. And in the meantime, we've got all this stuff going on, so yeah, maybe we go Dockside there. We've got 2 mana plus another 4, so 6 mana in total. I don't know, maybe we go Minsk and Boo there instead so that we've got a Planeswalker and then just start trying to go wide on this player. Yeah, apologies for the game not being a full one, but you know how it is on this channel and on Magic Online, so we got to see most of our opponents do some half-decent stuff at least, so hopefully you all enjoyed it. I'm not sure if you'll see loot again or not, or if we'll be jumping on to Modern Horizons in mid-June, I think it is. Yeah, not sure if I'll have time to play loot again, and it's not likely that we'll get full games with it anyway, unless we're losing, of course, because then you'll get a full game. Anyway, hopefully you all enjoyed the video. Big thank you to the patrons for their financial support as well. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.